Once upon a time, a group of birds decided they needed a wise guide and leader. And who was the wisest of all birds? Of course, the legendary Simorg. Oh, it would be so wonderful to meet the great Simorg. The plucky Hoopoe convinced them to undertake a long and difficult journey to the mountain home of the Simorg. The path turned out to be long and treacherous. On the fourth day, 20 birds gave up. The remaining birds were quarrelsome and divided. The Hoopoe was encouraging these complaining birds to continue, but his pleas were ignored. The following day, more birds chose to leave the venture and return to their familiar trees and tasty berries. The next day, torrential rains pummeled the birds really hard. None attempted to fly. All trudged with heads bowed along the rocky slopes. Many lost their feathers and scraped their toes. Yet a few more birds turned back. Those who persevered lost almost all of their courage. They were exhausted. Finally, the eagle summoned all his force and courage and took to the air to see if the wondrous home of the Simorg was in sight. To his amazement and delight, he saw it. Perched on the topmost height of a lofty peak, the glistening dome of the Simorg's dwelling reflected the rays of the rising sun, and the eagle quickly descended to tell his companions, "I have seen it! I've seen the mansion of the Simorg!" They cheered at the good news. The next morning the sun rose gloriously gold, so that every bird could see the sublime palace where dwelled the Simorg. No bird considered turning back now. To the contrary, they walked faster until finally they reached the courtyard of the mansion. They gathered at the entrance gate, nervously awaiting some glimpse of this marvelous king of birds. Impatiently they waited together at the huge front gate. As the Hoopoe and the eagle pulled the great wooden doors, etched with pictures of every bird in the world, the gate opened so that all could see and contemplate the Simorg at the same time. Together they stepped into a marvelous crystal hall, but they could hardly believe what they saw. Suddenly before them they saw not a throne, not a glorious king. There before them was only the grandest, the most glorious mirror. They gasped in shock and surprise as they looked around, for they saw no leader, no teacher, no king. Instead, they beheld only themselves. And they were not a pretty sight. What the mirror reflected back to them was a picture of a tireless band of tattered, featherless, exhausted 30 birds. They drooped their heads in bewilderment, dismay, and sorrow. All this effort, all this long journey to find one who could lead them, only to discover themselves? A Simorg? A Simorg! Just where is the Simorg? Said the angry eagle to the Hoopoe. The Hoopoe shook his head, then looked at the mirror again. Suddenly he stood erect. He gasped so as to catch the attention of the other birds. "Simorg," he uttered. Simorg!" he shouted. The astonished birds looked at the mirror again, but again they saw only themselves. "Where?" they asked drearily. "Where is the Simorg?" "We," said the Hoopoe, "we are the Simorg, don't you see? 30 birds. That's what Simorg means in Persian. 30 birds. Each bird suddenly looked again at the mirror and counted the images of themselves. And each came with the same result. Yes, they were indeed 30 birds. They were tired and hungry, but a brave band of 30 birds, to be sure. "We are the Simorg?" asked the eagle. "But what about finding the one to lead us and to be our king and bring us peace and harmony?" "Don't you see?" said the Hoopoe. "We are now like one bird. We have many differences, different qualities, voices, and colors, but now we know how to work together to lead ourselves. This journey has made us one."